Hi and welcome back to a boat called Wanda. Well, I've just broken my microphone, so I don't know if the sound quality is any good or not, but anyways, welcome back. First up, let me get back to those handrails that I was working on.
Okay, well this is what I was waiting for. It's just arrived in the week. I've got a set of counter bores which will countersink the hole and then bore it down to a limited or a fixed amount, and then create a cavity for the plug to go in. And then this is the other part that you need. It's a plug cutter, so I can use this to create plugs out of the Iroko so I get exactly the same colour. So let me just do a test run. I'm going to be working with the 10mm piece, and it's quite frustrating. You can buy these everywhere, but half of them are 9.5mm and the other half are like 10, so really wanted to get the 10 because the plug cutter that I've got, which is a really good quality one, creates a taper to it, so it starts off, I think the first few millimeters are the exact thickness, and then it sort of tapers out by 3 degrees. So this means that you can't get any ones coming loose. Right, so I just want to do a test run to see what it looks like. Okay, so there it is. It's a nice, relatively clean hole. And I will switch over to the plug cutter now. Now here's some of the Iroko that I use to make the handrails up with. So in theory I should be able to get exactly the same matching colour using this. Maybe if I go across the grain and knock it out sideways, it might be easier. Okay, so there it is. And I guess it goes that way down. Well, in theory that's the way it works. I feel like it's not quite working the way I thought it would. Okay, anyway, let me set this up now and I'll go ahead and countersink all of those holes.
Okay, so the next part is quite exciting. I'm going to get back to the fuel tank, and you might remember probably 2 years ago now, maybe a year ago, I did a lot of research into what was the best resin type for constructing a diesel fuel tank, and I came up with this specific product that's manufactured by a company called Scott Bader, and this is basically a resin that they use to construct large holding tanks, fiberglass holding tanks, either for ships or for on land, for storing things like diesel and ethanol, and it's rated up to 40 degrees Celsius for storing ethanol. And that was always the concern about making a fuel tank with epoxy, is ethanol will break down epoxy. So West System don't support making fuel tanks out of their product anymore, because as we expect to see more ethanol in the market in biodiesel, then it won't be a stable material to work with. So I've got the right product. So let's take a look at this again. So this was the mock-up fuel tank that I made out of plywood, based on the exact same dimensions as the old stainless steel one. And initially my idea was I was just going to use the internal cavity of the keel and put some baffles down and a front and a top, and use the keel as an integral fuel tank. And I've decided against that now, mainly for this reason, because this is the size of the the bilge. It's probably about this high, so I'd be at the top of the bilge, kind of like hanging down, desperately trying to get to the bottom of this to lay up with some resin. And it's a fairly small space. I think it's about this wide at the end, so I just can't see how I could get a really reliable layup, free of any air bubbles or voids. So I don't think that's the right way to go. So what I'm going to do is actually make the fuel tank this size, make it out of that fiberglass, and then fix it down with some stainless steel bolts so that it's semi-permanent. If I ever want, I can lift the engine and take it out and clean it or whatever. Yeah, so that's the plan.
Right, so this is the profile of the fuel tank, and I want to use this as, I think you call it a plug for a mould. So what I need to think about is how the mould can come off, how the I guess how the tank can come off the plug or the mould. So this is good because it's sloping down this way. It should be able to pull off if I sort of keep this end open and then pull it down this way. But this is actually less than 90 degrees the wrong way, so I don't think I'm going to be able to like pull it off. So I need to put an angle going down this way as well, like this, so that it will come down, which means I'm going to have to chop off a little bit of the fuel tank. So sorry Halberg Grassi, but yeah, I'm messing with the design here. And then this is plywood, so it's really porous. I think it'd be too risky trying to use this for a plug, because I need something that I can really put a lot of beeswax on, make sure that it comes out. So I've got some G10 over here, so I'm going to use the G10 to make this up, and then put a lot of beeswax on, and then build the layup around that. So how much of this can I afford to take off? I guess it's about what sort of angle I need. Okay, so that's the start of my plug, which is the plug for my fuel tank, which I'm going to make so that I can create a mould or a plug and then laminate over this. So we're looking at the underneath side. The top side is going to be open because obviously you need to be able to lift it off, and I'm hoping that there's enough angle each way for it to come off. Obviously fiberglass doesn't like square edges, so I now need to round out all of these edges to make nice corners that the fiberglass can wrap around. And I'm just going to start trying to use this routing piece to see if I can get a nice round edge on all these straight edges. So I'm going to start off using this bit on my router and see if that will give me a nice bevel or corner on all these straight edges. Well, okay, that's not too bad. It's not a perfect rounded edge because
these two faces are on a bit of an angle, not quite 90 degrees, and there's a little bit of a ridge along here, but I think, you know, I can probably get a soft sponge or interface pad on the orbital sander, and probably just using a 120 just finish this off to try and get rid of any little nicks and make this as smooth and as round as possible, because yeah, any little nicks and it's going to be able to hold on to that when I'm trying to pull it off the mould. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it here. That's enough. So next steps to get the sander out, smooth this over, get this ready to make it into a plug, and then I can wax it up and put tape on it, sit it on the table, and then laminate just like paper mache to make my fuel tank. So come back and have a look at what's going on then. Thanks for watching. See you next time.